This is a Chapter 21 test review. And this time we're going to go backwards. If you look at your student handout, you'll see that we're going to go from the highest number in the back down to the lowest number. So we're going to start with question number 18A. A company's product sells at $12.30 per unit and has a $5.45 per unit variable cost. The company's total fixed costs are $96,500. The break-even point in units is what? Well, the break-even point units will be fixed cost divided by contribution margin per unit, which in this case, the contribution margin per unit will be the selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit. So what we have here is fixed cost equals $96,500 divided by the sum, or the summation of $12.30 selling price minus $5.45 variable cost per unit, which is $6.85, and you divide that into the fixed cost, and you need, to the nearest whole unit, you need 14,088 units to break even. Number 16A. A firm sells 25,000 units of its product at $11 per unit. Pre-tax income is predicted to be $60,000. If variable cost per unit is $5, total fixed cost must be what? Alright, this is the idea you need to keep in mind. Sales minus variable cost equals contribution margin minus fixed cost equals pre-tax net income. This is the structure we're going to use. We're going to fill in what we know and solve for what we don't know, which is fixed cost. Alright, so sales are 25,000 units at $11 a piece, or $275,000. That's what sales are in dollars. Then next, we've got pre-tax net income was given as $60,000. And remember, we're looking for fixed costs. Also, they told us that the variable cost per unit is $5. So $5 times the 25,000 units that we're operating at gives us $125,000 as total variable costs. And now the difference between sales and variable cost will be contribution margin. And the difference between the contribution margin and pre-tax net income is going to be what we're looking for, which is fixed costs, which are $90,000. Number 13A. Product sells for $270 per unit. Its variable costs per unit are $197. The fixed costs are $434,000. If the firm wants to earn $50,720 pre-tax income, how much or how many units must be sold? All right, here's the formula. Units required for pre-tax income of $50,720 would be, you've got to recover your fixed cost, and you've also got to recover your pre-tax income. You got to recover both of those by selling things, and the way that you recover those is the profit you make every time that you sell an item, which is the selling price minus the variable cost, which is the contribution margin per unit. So let's plug in those things that we know. We know that if we're trying to get a pre-tax income of $50,720, then we've got to take pre-tax income plus fixed cost, add those together, and divide it by selling price minus variable cost, which is contribution margin per unit. And so let's do all that. So pre-tax income of $50,720 plus fixed cost of $434,000. Add those two together, divide by the selling price of $270 minus the variable cost of $197, and you've got $484,720. That's the total cost that you have to recover. Your contribution margin per unit, which is selling price minus variable cost, is equal to $73. Divide the 73 into the $484,720, and that means you have got to sell 6,640 units to achieve a pre-tax income of $50,720. Number 12A, they want to know what amount should have been reported as variable cost in the company's contribution margin income statement. All right, let's put in our little structure and let's fill in the pieces. During the most recent fiscal year, Smith Company sold 240,000 units of product at a price of $16.20 a piece. So that's going to be total sales of $3,888,000. And next, we are going to put our fixed cost down. It says fixed cost amounted to $576,000. Okay, got that. And pre-tax income was $816,000, so it goes down here. Now, remember, we're looking for, let's see, the reported variable cost. So we're looking for this right here. We're looking for variable cost. And so if we add together the pre-tax income and the fixed cost, add those two together, we should get contribution margin in total, which would be $1,392,000. And now the difference between sales and contribution margin should be what we're looking for, which is the variable cost of $2,496,000. Number 11A, how many units must be sold to achieve target level income? And the target level income we're trying to get to is earn a pre-tax income that equals 10% of fixed costs. Okay, so let's do what we got to do. We got our desired pre-tax income is 10% of fixed cost, which would be 10% of $112,000 or $11,200. And we got to know how many units we got to sell to achieve that kind of income. So we got to recover the fixed cost, plus we have to recover 10% of the fixed cost, which is the pre-tax income of $11,200. And to do that, we're going to sell units, and we're going to make so much per unit, which is the contribution margin per unit. So let's plug in the things we know. $112,000 plus the pre-tax income of $11,200, which was that 10% of the fixed cost. Add those together, divide them by the contribution margin of, looks like, selling price minus variable cost, which is $10. And looks like our total amount to recover is $123,200. The contribution margin per unit is $10. Divide that into the total amount to recover. It's going to be 12,320 units we have to sell to achieve that target. Number 10A, what is the margin of safety as a percentage of sales? Well, first of all, margin of safety is the difference between what you're currently operating at in sales, or what you expect to operate in sales, which is $250,000, and break-even sales. So the first thing you got to do is figure out what break-even sales are in dollars. And the way you do that is you take fixed costs divided by the contribution margin ratio. So the fixed costs in this problem are $42,000. The contribution margin ratio is 30%. So that means that break-even sales are $140,000. If that's $140,000 break-even sales and our expected sales are $250,000, the difference between the two is going to be our margin of safety. And so our margin of safety in sales will be the difference between the two, and it would be in terms of, let's see, okay, I expressed, well, first of all, let's express this margin of safety in terms of dollars. In dollars, the difference between the expected sales of $250,000 and the break-even sales is $110,000, but they don't want it expressed that way. They want it expressed as a percentage of sales. So what we'll do, take the $250,000 minus $140,000 and divide it by $250,000, which is the expected sales, and that gives us a margin of safety expressed as a percentage, 44%. So you can express it as a percentage, or you can express it as in dollars. Number 9A. What amount of dollar sales must be achieved to reach the goal if fixed costs are $36,200? And let's see, Howard Company has a goal of earning $70,100 after tax income. Okay, If it's after-tax income, all these problems we've been doing, it was pre-tax net income. And now our goal is expressed in something called after-tax income. So we got to convert that after-tax income to a pre-tax income number, dollar amount. So let's go through this. Dollar sales at target income will be, the formula for this is fixed cost plus pre-tax income. Notice that our number here is expressed as a after-tax income. So we got to convert that after-tax to a pre-tax income. So anyway, it's fixed cost plus pre-tax income added together divided by contribution margin ratio, which was 32%. So if we are given after-tax income and add income taxes, the two together will give us pre-tax income. And all three of these pieces, fixed cost plus after-tax income of $70,100 plus plus income taxes, will then be added together divided by a contribution margin ratio of 32%. And what we're looking at is $36,200 for the fixed cost right there, plus the after-tax goal of $70,100 plus income taxes. And the way we got income taxes, I'll show you in just a second here, is to take the, let's see here, let me see if I've got a calculation for that, just a second. The calculation is to take, just a second, let me go one more step, whoops. The $20,100 is just given to us right there. It's given to us. Okay. So fixed costs plus after-tax income of $70,100 plus income taxes of $20,100. Add them together, divide by 0.32, and all three of these things together added up to be $126,400 divided by 0.32. So the dollar sales at target income, that is the dollar sales you got to have to achieve that $70,100 after-tax income, would be $395,000. Number 7A, management anticipates fixed costs of $74,000, variable cost equals 37% of sales. What will pre-tax income equal if sales are $340,000? All right, sales minus variable cost equals contribution margin minus fixed cost equals pre-tax net income. Plug in what we know. And we've got, and also this little idea can be expressed in dollars or it can be expressed in percentages. So let's see, the fixed cost, they give that to us, $74,000, okay. Variable cost equals 37% of sales, and what will pre-tax income equal if sales are $340,000? Well, we know that that variable costs are 37% of sales, and so we've got the percentage part over here. So let's see what else we can fill in to come up with this number down at the bottom, pre-tax net income. We know that sales are $340, that's given to us. We also now know variable costs are 37% of sales, which would be 37% times 340, which is going to be, hang on just a second here. It's going to be $125,800. Again, we're looking for this number down here, pre-tax net income. And so now sales minus variable cost equals contribution margin, and we can get that by subtracting. So then the $214,200 will be you can subtract fixed costs from that and get pre-tax income, which is what we're looking for, of $140,200. And that's 7A.